Saul Zaentz, the owner of Fantasy. I just thought, maybe Bill Graham can mediate this thing because we're not getting anywhere, and it's a really
rock legend John Fogerty is returning to the Las Vegas Strip this week, and it's not just another concert. This time, there's a powerful twist behind the music no one has expected. After years of not owning the rights to the songs he made famous with Creedence Clearwater Revival, Fogerty has finally taken back control. Now, just as he turns 80, he's hitting the stage at Encore Theater to perform the hits that shaped a generation, this time on his own terms. The pride of ownership, of course, is important to me. Everyone knew that I wrote the songs, but there was that nagging part that I didn't even control their destiny, Fogerty revealed during a recent phone conversation. This music was controlled by the record company, and now I get to control that. This extraordinary development represents the culmination of a 50-year legal battle that has defined much of Fogerty's post-CCR career, making his return to the stage at this moment particularly poignant. In January 2023, after intense negotiations led by his wife Julie and music mogul Irving Azoff, John Fogerty finally regained control of his Creedence Clearwater Revival songs. While Concord Records still holds some interest, Fogerty now has a say in his music. After 50 years of legal battles, he can finally celebrate performing the songs that were always his at heart. "It's something I've wanted for a lifetime," Fogerty says, just 3 months before he turns 80, an age that seems to surprise even the rocker himself. Turning 80 is such a strange concept for me. It's an interesting time to look at. I've never considered myself like, let's say, Will Rogers or another Mark Twain who's always been considered a wise old man. I mean, I'm having way too much fun. Regaining his music rights also brought a surprise, a much better relationship with the record label he once saw as the enemy. "It's kind of funny to say, but I have a good relationship with them now," Fogerty said. "They're even celebrating this big birthday year with me, and that feels really good." Fogerty's Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday performances at Encore Theater represent his first appearances at the venue since November 20th, 2022, though his history with Las Vegas stretches back much further. His initial residency began at the Venetian Theater in 2015-16 before moving to the Wynn Las Vegas the following year. Before that, he was among the all-star headliners at Reynolds Hall at the Smith Center for the Performing Arts in March 2012. The shows promised to be crowd-thrilling, retro experiences filled with CCR classics and solo hits like Centerfield, during which Fogerty busts out his familiar Louisville Slugger-designed guitar. Adding a special dimension to these performances, his sons Shane and Tyler will be joining the band, infusing familial enthusiasm into the proceedings, with Tyler's attacking performance on Good Golly Miss Molly being particularly memorable. Las Vegas music fans will also recognize the return of terrific sax player Rob Stone to this series. Fogerty now joins what might be called the Rock Legends at 80 Club, which includes Mick Jagger, Paul McCartney, Bob Dylan, Ringo Starr, Rod Stewart, and Mike Love, all of whom continue to perform live well into their 8th decade. This elite group of musical pioneers has defied conventional expectations about aging in rock and roll, demonstrating that the creative fire and performance energy can burn well beyond what previous generations might have expected. For Fogerty, the journey to this point has been anything but smooth. After CCR disbanded in 1972 amid internal conflicts, he embarked on a solo career that was immediately hampered by legal battles with Fantasy Records and its owner, Saul Zaentz. These conflicts prevented him from performing his own CCR songs for many years and led to notorious lawsuits, including one in which Fogerty had to prove in court that sounding like himself was not plagiarism of his earlier work. The bitter struggle took a personal toll as well. Fogerty's relationship with his brother and former bandmate Tom, who died in 1990, was severely damaged by the business disputes. Even in their final conversation, Tom referred to Zaentz as his best friend, a painful moment for John, given that Zaentz had swindled the band out of millions and repeatedly sued him. A turning point came in 1990 when Fogerty visited the Mississippi gravesite of blues legend Robert Johnson. There, he had the realization that Johnson was the true spiritual owner of his own songs, no matter what businessman owned the rights to them. This epiphany led Fogerty to start performing his CCR material again in concert, reconnecting with the songs that had made him famous. The sale of Fantasy Records to Concord Records in 2004 began the slow healing process. As the new owners took steps to restore royalty rights Fogerty had given up to be released from his contract decades earlier. This culminated in the 2023 announcement that Fogerty had finally secured ownership of the global catalog after the 50-year legal battle. Now, as he prepares to celebrate his 80th birthday on May 28th, Fogerty appears to be at peace both musically and personally. His Las Vegas performances represent not just a continuation of his musical legacy, but a victory lap, a celebration of finally winning control over the songs that have defined American rock music for generations. When asked about his perspective on the current political climate, Fogerty, who has historically supported Democratic candidates and once issued a cease and desist order against Donald Trump for using Fortunate Son in his 2020 campaign, struck a surprisingly conciliatory tone. "It's pretty well known that I've been a liberal and been a Democrat all of my voting life," Fogerty acknowledges. "We have had what we used to call knee-jerk reactions in the past, but I am hopeful that this can be a thoughtful and cooperative time, that there is a real sense of cooperation going forward." This mature perspective perhaps reflects the wisdom gained through decades of legal and personal struggles. For Fogerty, the ability to now perform Proud Mary, Bad Moon Rising, and Fortunate Son as the true owner of these classics gives each performance new meaning and energy, a remarkable full-circle moment for an artist who has persevered through 5 decades of fighting for what was rightfully his. What do you think about John Fogerty finally reclaiming ownership of his CCR catalog after 50 years? Does this victory make his current performances at age 80 even more significant? And what does his continued vitality on stage tell us about the evolution of rock and roll as an art form? As Fogerty prepares to celebrate his 80th birthday, his journey represents one of music's greatest comeback stories, an artist who never gave up on his songs, even when the business of music tried to take them away from him.
I have tried to look like Lucy. I even use the same beauty cream Lucy uses, but nothing works. You know that ugly skin on your elbows?
She made America laugh for decades, but behind that iconic red hair and infectious smile lay a woman haunted by her past and fighting for dignity in her final chapter. Lucille Ball, the queen of comedy who conquered Hollywood and built an entertainment empire, faced a heartbreaking descent in her twilight years that few fans ever witnessed. What really happened to Lucy in those final years? Was it the curse of fame, the ghost of a tumultuous marriage, or something even darker lurking beneath the surface of her picture-perfect public image? Tonight, we reveal the shocking truth behind America's favorite redhead's last days, a tale of faded glory, broken dreams, and one final, desperate attempt to reclaim the spotlight that once adored her. By the 1980s, Lucille Ball was no longer the unstoppable force who had revolutionized television. The woman who once ruled the airwaves with I Love Lucy and built Desilu Productions into a powerhouse that gave us everything from Star Trek to Mission Impossible was now struggling to remain relevant in a rapidly changing entertainment landscape. Her phenomenal success seemed like ancient history. The woman who had become the first female head of a major television production company was now watching her influence wane year by year. Her legendary perfectionism, once her greatest asset, had become an obstacle in an industry increasingly dominated by younger executives and changing audience tastes. In 1986, ABC offered Lucille what seemed like a golden opportunity, a new sitcom called Life with Lucy. The network, believing in the enduring power of the Lucy brand, took the unprecedented step of giving her complete creative control without even requesting a pilot. It was a level of trust that reflected her legendary status. But what should have been a triumphant return became a devastating blow. Life with Lucy was savaged by critics and rejected by audiences who couldn't reconcile this aging performer with the vibrant comedian they remembered. After just 8 episodes, ABC pulled the plug in a humiliating public cancellation. It was devastating for her, recalled a close friend who witnessed Lucy's reaction to the show's failure. She had built her entire identity around being America's favorite television star. When that was taken away, she didn't know who she was anymore. The professional disappointment would have been difficult enough for anyone to bear, but for Lucille Ball, it was compounded by painful personal losses that left her increasingly isolated. Her marriage to Gary Morton, while more stable than her famously turbulent relationship with Desi Arnaz, had settled into a comfortable but somewhat passionless arrangement. Friends described it as more of a business partnership than a romance in later years. Gary managed Lucy's career and provided stability, but the fire that had characterized her relationship with Desi, for better or worse, was noticeably absent. Yet despite their divorce decades earlier, Desi remained the great love of Lucy's life. Their relationship defied conventional understanding, a passionate, creative partnership torn apart by alcoholism, infidelity, and the pressures of building an entertainment empire, yet bound by an unbreakable emotional connection that lasted until Desi's death. "I once sat down with Lucy when she was 66, recalled a journalist who interviewed her. "Just mentioning Desi brought back a flood of emotions. When Desi and I got married, we had nothing," she told me, her voice heavy with emotion. "He was just this kid with a band in New York. We built everything together." When Desi Arnaz died of lung cancer in 1986, Lucy was devastated. Their final phone conversation, where he told her, "I love you too, honey," became a bittersweet memory she clung to. Though they had been divorced for 26 years, his death left a void that nothing could fill. "It was as if part of her died with him," said one longtime associate. "They had this connection that transcended their marriage, their divorce, everything. Without him, even at a distance, she seemed lost." As Lucy entered her late 70s, her health began to deteriorate in ways that were particularly cruel for a woman whose physical comedy had been her trademark. The performer who had masterfully controlled every muscle in her expressive face now found her body betraying her. In 1988, Lucy suffered a heart attack that required emergency surgery. The procedure was successful, but recovery was slow and difficult. For a woman who had always prided herself on her energy and vitality, the physical limitations of aging were especially difficult to accept. She hated showing weakness, recalled her daughter, Lucy Arnaz. "Mom was always the strongest person in any room. When her body started to fail her, she fought against it with everything she had." Her declining health forced her to confront her mortality in ways that troubled the fiercely independent star. Friends noticed she became increasingly preoccupied with her legacy, often reviewing old episodes and memorabilia from her glory days. The contrast between the vibrant performer on screen and the aging woman watching those performances was a source of both pride and profound sadness. On March 29, 1989, Lucille Ball made her final public appearance at the 61st Academy Awards. The audience erupted in a spontaneous standing ovation, a genuine outpouring of love for the woman who had transformed American entertainment for generations. Yet behind her brave smile, those closest to her saw something the cameras missed. Pain and exhaustion etched across her face. Lucy had been reluctant to appear at all, painfully conscious of her frailty and deeply concerned about how she would be perceived by millions of viewers. She was terrified of being seen as old or irrelevant, recalled a friend who helped prepare her for the event. Lucy spent her entire career in control of how people saw her, and aging took that control away. That night at the Oscars, she knew it might be the last time the public saw her, and she was determined to leave them with a memory of elegance, not decline. It took considerable persuasion from her family to convince her to attend, but true to form, she summoned the strength to make one final bow before her adoring public. The applause that night seemed to acknowledge not just her comedic genius, but her pioneering role in television history. Just weeks later, on April 18th, Lucy experienced severe chest pains and was rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. Doctors discovered a dissecting aortic aneurysm, requiring immediate surgery. The initial 7-hour procedure seemed successful, giving her loved ones a moment of hope. But on April 26th, complications arose when Lucy awoke with excruciating back pain. She soon lost consciousness and died at 5:47 a.m. from a ruptured abdominal aortic aneurysm at the age of 77. What many of Lucy's fans never knew was how deeply she struggled with the loss of her creative outlet in her final years. Television had not just been her career, it had been her primary means of self-expression and connection with the world. Lucy didn't know how to live without performing, said one longtime colleague. She never developed hobbies or interests outside of work. Entertainment wasn't what she did, it was who she was. This singular focus had served her well during her meteoric rise, but left her vulnerable when opportunities dried up. Unlike some of her contemporaries who gracefully transitioned to elder statesperson roles or found fulfillment in philanthropy or family life, Lucy continued to measure her worth primarily by her ability to command an audience.
I'd like to talk to someone, please.
I'm Peter Venkman. May I help you? Could you excuse me for a second? I'm right in the middle of something, Ray.
Bill Murray shocked the entertainment world by revealing a surprising connection to Bruce Willis. Willis once worked as a page at NBC, refilling M&Ms and pretzels in Saturday Night Live dressing rooms, including Murray's. Murray shared this Hollywood gem during his March 31st appearance on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen.
Really always understood Bruce Willis was a page at NBC.
Wow.
When I was on Saturday Night Live.
No way.
Yeah, he was a page.
Wow.
And his job was to come and to refill, this sounds like insane but his job was to come and go to the dressing rooms and refill the M&Ms and pretzels kind of thing in the actors' rooms.
This surprising link between two Hollywood stars dates back to the late 1970s, when Murray was on SNL, 1977 to 1980, and Willis was a young man trying to break into the industry. What makes this throwback story particularly touching is the personal element Murray added about their later reconnection.
And I remember when I met him after he was already a successful guy, he said, "You and Gilda were nice to me." And I thought, okay.
His voice filled with emotion. This simple act of kindness toward a young, unknown Willis clearly made a lasting impression on the future action star, creating a bond that would eventually lead to their professional collaboration decades later. The revelation offers a fascinating look at Willis's humble beginnings before he became a Hollywood star with roles in Moonlighting and Die Hard. It's a powerful reminder of how interconnected the entertainment world can be, and how small acts of kindness can resonate throughout careers spanning decades.
Thanks for the advice.
Can you identify yourself?
Not now.
Who are you then?
Line in the ointment, Hans. A pain in the ass.
Murray and Willis would eventually come full circle, co-starring in director Wes Anderson's critically acclaimed Moonrise Kingdom in 2012, a film Murray cited as one of his favorite collaborations with Anderson. Moonrise Kingdom was a really beautiful, lovely movie, and I got to work with and have a wonderful time with Bruce, Murray shared during the interview. The two actors later reunited for 2015's Rock the Casbah, further cementing their professional relationship.
On the set of Moonrise Kingdom, a new film directed by Wes Anderson. I play a man in the film. I've made a few movies with this fellow Wes Anderson. He's a nice guy. He's made some good movies.
Murray's admiration for Willis was evident throughout the interview as he spoke warmly about his friend, who is currently battling frontotemporal dementia. Bruce Willis is a good guy, a good guy. He was a good friend, Murray said with genuine affection. This heartfelt tribute comes at a poignant time, as Willis recently celebrated his 70th birthday surrounded by family, including ex-wife Demi Moore and their 3 daughters. This unexpected connection between Murray and Willis wasn't just one-sided. In a 2015 Today Show appearance promoting Rock the Casbah, Willis expressed his own admiration for Murray, calling the film his best movie, and praising Murray's performance. He is terrific in this picture, just crazy. I think people who know him from some of his iconic roles in the past think he is a wild man at all times, and yet, when I've been around him, he has a much more serious side. The story of their early encounter serves as a reminder of the unpredictable nature of success in Hollywood. Willis, who would later return to SNL as a host in both 1989 and 2013, had no way of knowing as he restocked snacks in the dressing rooms that he would one day be on that same stage as one of the industry's biggest stars. Similarly, Murray couldn't have predicted that the young page would eventually become his co-star in multiple films.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
This is the 500th broadcast of Saturday Night Live. I've been
This revelation joins other fascinating pre-fame connections between celebrities that have emerged over the years. As Cohen noted during the interview, Harrison Ford once worked as part of the camera crew for The Doors for a week and a half, while Samuel L. Jackson worked as a security guard at Manhattan Plaza, where numerous celebrities lived. These stories highlight the often circuitous and unpredictable paths to stardom that many of Hollywood's biggest names have followed.